Hi folks, unfortunately I wasn't able to make it tonight, which means you'll have to settle for a recording, and for the sake of trying to keep this to under 3 minutes, I'm just going to jump right into my challenge solution. My code isn't particularly exciting or interesting. Instead, I want to spend my time going over the high-level process I took, which has three main components: selecting the model, fine-tuning, and hyperparameter search. When it comes to doing challenges like this or looking to apply machine learning and artificial intelligence in general, it's useful to keep in mind that someone else has probably tried to solve the same problem, or if not the exact problem, maybe something close to it. So see what their approach was. In this case, obviously, we had an official data set to work off of, so one of the first things I did was identify popular models that leverage that data set, identify what their base model was, and use that, which is exactly how I landed on dBERTA v3. Next, there's the actual fine-tuning step. Not much to point out here. My code doesn't really deviate from the Hugging Face tutorial on text classification. Usually at this stage, there's some vibes-based hyperparameters I'll start with, which in my experience just tend to work reasonably well out of the gate. For example, a batch size of 16 and a learning rate of 2E5 or 1E5. Really, the goal here is to create a bit of an experiment pipeline, produce something that's working, and establish a baseline that you can build from. I'll typically start with a smaller version of whatever model I'm using, just because it's faster to fine-tune before I start trying to scale things up. And I also find it useful to keep a logbook. And here's just a link to a Facebook example that I think is worth reading. Now, if you looked at my solution, you'll probably notice my learning rate was this 3.24 monstrosity. This is very much not a vibes-based number. So how did I come up with it? Once you have something that's doing well in your metrics, you can often get a bit of a boost by doing hyperparameter search. For those that aren't familiar, hyperparameters are basically the values you can tweak that control the learning process. In my case, I used Ray, and the code contains a cleaned up version of what I did. What the repo doesn't show, though, is after I did my first pass at hyperparameter search, most of my best performers all had an epoch of 3 and a batch size of 64, and I ended up doing a second run where I only did a search across the learning rate using those values. Bit of a whirlwind, but that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to hit me up on Discord. Also, I just want to say thanks to Eric for organizing this challenge. I had a lot of fun. And shout out to the Ottawa AI Tinkerers organizers across the board. It's an awesome community they're creating that I'm grateful to be a part of. Thanks for your time.